Okay, can you guys see my screen now? I think it's uploaded. Can I get a sign that you are seeing my screen so that we can continue? Hello, guys.
Hello, sir.
Can you?
Oh. Yes, we can see the screen now.
In the meeting, muting me. I don't know how you have access to mute me, but I'm seeing that somebody is muting me. If you mute me, who is going to teach the class? Okay. Oh yeah. So like I said, welcome to the basics of geopolitics. The second semester. Please mute your mics. Mute your mics. Mute your mics, please. Please mute your mics. Thank you. Okay, like I said, welcome to the basic of geopolitics class. It's a second semester module for your department, a general education module. I'm just going to take us in the next few minutes on the basic of what is expected for you in this course, and then I will tell you how I operate. And I must say for the record that as much as possible, no student fail my course. You are not allowed to fail my course. Even if you want to fail this course, you are banned from failing this course. So you must pass this course either you like it or not. So how do I do that to make you pass this course either you like it or not? I ensure that we move together. I believe in the principle of all for one and one for all. So it implies that we are going to move together as a unit. And in this place, I would say we'll move together as a family because I believe everybody here is we are Africans, either in spirit or in the actual sense of it. So basically, we move together as a unit, as humans. We move together and we work together, and we ensure that at the end of the semester, I expect that everybody should have passed this module one way or the other. How do you do that? Just ensure that every task that you're expected to do, you ensure that you do them. Every task you're expected to do, just ensure you do them. If you do that, you should not have a problem. Attend classes when you're supposed to attend classes. Like I said, our class is going to be Mondays, every Mondays by 2 p.m. I believe that this hitch that we have in relation to joining the class today, I want to believe that we will improve on it by next week. Hopefully it will be better. I have added you all on Teams. So naturally, you should be able to just log in. All you need to do is just to go on Teams, click on classes, click Basis of Geopolitics second semester. When you go into the platform of Basic of Geopolitics, you're going to see the meeting. Just click Join Meeting, and you will be part of the meeting. I will just flow. If at any point you have questions to ask, at intervals I will be pausing to allow for questions. But if I say something and you don't understand and I'm about to move ahead, but you still do not understand what I'm saying, please stop me. Indicate, raise up your hands and indicate I'm going to recognize you, and then you can tell us whatever you want to say. So as much as possible, that is how we are going to go on in this in the session. So that's what we are going to do. So like I said, this is the geopolitics module, basic of geopolitics. I'll be explaining what is necessary for the course. What you have here is the DUT graduate module, graduate attributes, the DUT graduate attributes. As a student of DUT, there is the aim in which DUT is hoping to achieve. That at the end of your program, you guys are in drama now, at the end of your 3 years program, either 3 years or 4 years program, the DUT organization, the DUT unit as it is, are hoping that when you graduate in 3 years or 4 years time, that you should have these attributes, these 5 attributes that are listed here. 1, you should be a critical and creative thinker who can think independently and collaboratively. How do you become a critical thinker? How, when you look at situations around you, situations within the society and everything, how critical can you assess them? So you should be a critical thinker, you should be a creative thinker, and you should be able to think independently. You should be able to think by yourself, not that everybody will be just pouring everything on you, and then you cannot think on your own. So at the end of your program, it is expected that you become a critical and creative thinker. They believe that you should become a knowledgeable practitioner. You should know what you are doing as a dramatist, or how do you call your profession? As a drama professional, at the end of the program, your program, we expect that you become a knowledgeable practitioner. And then you should be able to communicate effectively. We should be able to, communication is when both the sender and the receiver of the message understands what the sender is trying to communicate. You should be an effective communicator, and then you should be culturally, environmentally, and socially aware within the local and global context. And this is where we come in as geopolitics. Because if you say you should be culturally aware locally, you also need to be culturally aware globally. You should know what is happening around the world. And then you should be active and reflective learners. So basically, these are the DUZ graduate active attributes. At the end of your program, this is what we expected that you should have. And then in view of these attributes, what we aim to achieve in geopolitics is to demonstrate the understanding of geopolitics as a mode of analysis. Geopolitics as a mode of analysis. In the course of the semester, by the end of the semester, you should be able to see the things that are happening around the world, and you should be able to tell people, analyze it, be creative, be critical about the things that are happening around the world. You should be aware, you should be globally and locally aware. You should be able to say, okay, based on what is happening here, this is the reason why this is happening, and this is what will happen. You should be able to project, be able to interpret issues around you, and then you should be able to make sound geopolitical decisions vis-a-vis historical and contemporary trends. What is happening in the world? What is happening in your community? What is happening in South Africa? What is happening in Southern Africa? What is happening in Africa? What is happening in the world itself? So all these things are things you need to know. You should be able to explain global, regional, and national power dynamics, the dynamic relations in geopolitics. And then you should be able to innovate in situations requiring geopolitical solutions. You should be able to bring about solutions. For instance, if I give you a tip now, your semester assignment will have something to do with the coronavirus we are talking about. If I ask you now, what do you think we should do to the coronavirus? How should the government of South Africa handle the corona pandemic? Or better still, how should they have handled the corona pandemic? Or how should they be handling it now? These are some of the things in which you should be able to discuss within the course of the course. And then you should become very sensitive to the dynamics of the world. The world is changing. The whole lot of things are happening around the world. You should be able to talk about them. You should be able to analyze them. And you should be able to ask yourself, how does, or better still, how is what is happening in the United States? They say the election that is going on in the election process now that's going on in the United States. They run towards the general election in the US. What is the effect of that election on you as a South African? What is the effect of Donald Trump's victory in the polls come November? What does it have on you? Or what is the effect of Biden's victory in the polls have on us here in Africa? So these are some of the things in which we want to look out in the course of the module. So basically, these are just many things that you should just have an idea on. Now, when it comes to this course, this is how we are going to do our assessments. We are going to have 2 tests. We are going to write 2 assessments on module. We are going to write 2 assessments on module. It's going to be on module, and there will be 25 marks each. We are going to write an essay. The essay is going to be individual essays of about 1,000 words. In the course of the semester, I'm going to give you the essay in which you are going to write. Hopefully, maybe by next week or upper week, I'm going to give you the essay. So you can start working on the essay. I'm going to give you about a month, maybe 4 weeks, to write that essay of just 1,000 words. That's quite easy. And then your attendance will also count for 10 marks. So every time you come in, I get to see those who are online. I take attendance, and the attendance is going to be random. I may take attendance at the beginning of the class. I may take attendance at the end of the class, but there's going to be an attendance. And I may take attendance today, I may not take attendance today. That will be at my discretion to determine when I take attendance. It is up to you to ensure that at every instance that we're supposed to be in class, you are in class, and you make up for the attendance. You may say 10% is nothing. You can have 50% in the tests and have 40% in your essay. So 50 and 40, that's 90%. You've passed already. But I can assure you that the 10% attendance is what you need when you are struggling to pass the course. These are some of the things you will need to do well in the course at the end of the day. So please take note of this assessment criteria in the course of the semester. So we are going to have 10 weeks of lecture. Our first test, the first quiz is going to be in week 5, and the second quiz is going to be in week 10. But the essay I will just send the essay maybe by next week or upper week. Technically, last week was supposed to be our week 1, but because of the connection challenge in which most of us had, very few people were in class. So I decided to say, okay, let's just start fully and in force this week. So when you look at the course outline, these are the things in which we are going to be covering. It is okay if you want to say possibly Snapchat this, or better say screen grab it, and you can screen grab it. I am also going to send it to you via your emails. I'm going to send the course outline and a workbook. You can start using the workbook, because what I want is that when we come to a class like this, I am not supposed to just come and lecture. That's not my style. I want us to come and discuss, to just have conversation. And for us to be able to do that, I will expect that before the week's lecture, you must have read about what we are going to treat in the week from the course outline, the course workbook, sorry. The workbook I'm going to be sending out to you. So when we come to class like this, if you have question, we address your question, and then we pick it up from there. So basically, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Here, I'm supposed to just help you out to put you in line with what we are supposed to be doing. So this week, we are going to be, like I said, this week is just an introductory session. We do introduction to geopolitics. We discuss some definitions and some ideas around geopolitics. And then we continue next week with authority, power, state and non-state actors. And then we continue with a framework of understanding geopolitics. How do we understand geopolitics, which we refer to as level of analysis? And then we discuss the theories in geopolitics. And then after then, we have our first test, our first quiz. And then we continue with globalization and international law, then international organization. And then we discuss human security 1 and 2. And then we call it a semester. We call it a semester after our quiz. This is a continuous assessment module, so there's not going to be exams for this course. Can I repeat that again? It's a continuous assessment module, so there will not be exams for this course. So what we do is that we just keep doing this continuous assessment. That's why we have your quiz 1, quiz 2, as well as the assignment in which you are going to write and your attendance. So that makes up for the entirety of what you need to pass the module. And like I said, you are not expected to fail this module. Even if you want to fail this module, we will not allow you fail the module. So we are going to push together, and I am optimistic that we are going to win together. I understand this is a challenging time that we are in, but yes, we are going to pull through together. I know sometimes we'll have issues with network. What I will be doing is that at the end of each class like this, I will try and post the recordings also on Moodle if I can, I think mostly I'll post it on Module 2 and also post the course outline on Module. You can also access the course outline as well as the recording here on Teams. After each class like this, it's going to be here forever. As long as you are connected here, you can always come back to this session and listen to the video again. Maybe when you are doing your study and you feel that there's a need for you to go back to the course content of what we have discussed. Maybe when you are reading and something is a little bit confusing and you need to come back to the videos, please feel free to come back online and have a session with it. I know I'm not seeing your faces. I hope that we'll be able to do that at the end of the session. But I suppose that you all know me. I'm putting my video on so that you keep seeing my face. We were together in first semester. I remember that your class was my class for Cornerstone in D1, is in D001 in Rixon campus. You are part of, I think, drama students. You were part of my students in Cornerstone then. So I think it's going to be just an easing in. Most of you already are familiar with this face and this tiny voice, right? I'm pausing here to have response so that I will know I'm not talking to myself. I suppose you guys are familiar with me already.
Yes, we are.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so let's just push in through to the course itself. So we are just going to start quickly. As much as possible, we'll just spend very few minutes together and then we end the session for today. Please feel free to stop me at any point if I am too fast or if I said something that you need more clarity on. If you need me to explain further on any concept, please stop me at any point, right? Stop me at any point if there's a need for that. Okay. Okay. We are starting defining geopolitics. I suppose that most of us have been wondering, what is geopolitics? Unfortunately, I've shown you my screen already, because ideally I would have asked you to tell me what is your understanding of geopolitics. But since my screen is already on and I suppose you guys are reading that, I will just go ahead. The concept itself was coined in 1899 by a Swedish professor named Rudolf Kindlem. He coined that concept in 1899. But away from that, when we talk about geopolitics, I always want to say that geo implies geography. Politics is politics. So it is geo plus politics. So an addition of geo and politics joined together is referred to as geopolitics. Geo is geography. So we say an addition of geography, a fusion of geography and politics. If you want to do it on mathematical terms, we are going to say geography plus politics equals to geopolitics. So when we talk about geopolitics, we are talking about how geography comes to play within world affairs, within global affairs. So we said it's the role of territories and resources in shaping the condition of states in the global arena. It shapes the interaction of states in the global arena. How does geography comes to play in the interaction of individuals within the global arena? That's what we discuss when we discuss geopolitics. We said it is what the study of geographical factors in world politics, geographical factors in international relation, in interstate relation, how states relate. And what do we mean by that? When you look at the map of the world, when you see the map of the world that we have there, you see there we have Africa, we have North America, we have South America, we have Australia, we have Asia, we have Europe and the likes. How do we relate when it comes to geographic within the premise of our geography? And the argument here is to say that states relate based on their geographical position, what they have, their resources, their territory. It determines how they relate. For instance, the one you can easily relate to, when you say the relationship between Lesotho and South Africa, you realize that Lesotho is inside South Africa. So Lesotho cannot afford to be enemies to South Africa. Why? Because once they become enemies to South Africa, what South Africa will do now is to close all their borders. So for that reason, you see, their relationship with South Africa is conditioned by what? By their geography. Countries that are inland, that don't have access to the sea, relate and behave differently from countries that have access to the sea. Countries that have resources, say gold, like in South Africa, oil in, say, Nigeria, in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, and the likes, their relationship in the world is different because everybody relates based on what you have. You relate based on what you have. So we said it's the interplay between geography, power, politics, and international relations. So basically that's what we say when we discuss geopolitics. Another definition says geopolitics is the study of power relation across geographical space. When we talk about power relation across geographical space, we're talking about what is the military and economic strengths of countries within the world. For instance, when we talk about power relations, the strength of South Africa cannot be compared with the strength of China. It cannot be compared to the strength of Russia. It cannot be compared to the strength of the United States. So you see, when they meet within the global arena, how they relate will be determined by their political strength, by their economic strength, by their military strength. So that will determine how they relate within the international arena. So basically that's what we discuss when we discuss geopolitics. So in essence, we say geopolitics is also the ordering of political units. It's the strategy of who is going to be at the top, who is going to stay at the top, who gets to the top, and who is going to rule the world. That is interesting and a little bit confusing. We say it is the ordering. How do you place order within the global arena? Because now you need to determine, for instance, if we have a class now, we want to determine who is going to be our class rep. So we ask ourselves the question, what is the criteria to choose a class rep? Even among your friends, there is always a silent leader among your group of friends. There's a silent leader. And consciously or unconsciously, you determine these things, but before now, you don't know that you. And that's why your critical thinking skills comes to play. In a group of friends, when there are a group of people together, there will always be the instance of somebody deciding who rules, who take decision on behalf of the group. For instance, if we are a group of 3 or 4 friends now, who determine what we do? It is a political arrangement. Within the global arena, we look at the same thing to say, how do we order the world itself? How is the world arranged? What is the structure of arrangement? Who is at the top? Who is below? So you have who is at the top, who is below. How do people move from below to the top? And then for those people that are at the top, who stays there? What is the criteria to determine that you stay there? For instance, we said South Africa. We say United States is the police of the world. They refer to them as the world police. Who gave them that audacity to be the world police? How did they become the world police? These are the kind of the things in which we look at in geopolitics. So who is going to determine the affairs of the world? So these are some of the points in which we look at when we look at geopolitics. So basically that's what we say when we define geopolitics. So like I said, geopolitics involves geographical relations, the relation between geography and power relations within territories, and how states interrelates. So under geopolitics, there are 5 domains in which we look at. And these domains have to do with what? Have to do with geography. First, we look at land, your territory. We look at sea. We look at air. We look at outer space. And then we look at cyberspace. You must have been hearing about issues around cyber wars and the notion that the wars in the future will be cyber wars. It will not be physical wars. If you have been watching all these medieval movies, you will see that before now, when two countries or two cities are fighting, soldiers will meet in an open field, and then they will be using knives, swords, and all the things to fight the battles. But we have moved away from fighting physical battles. We have moved into more sophisticated battles. Now we are going to cyberspace as the place in which we do all these wars now. So we said geopolitics explain and predict international behavior primarily through geographical variables. We explain and predict international behavior primarily through geographical variables. And these geographical variables involves the location of the country. Where is the geographical location of the country that you are trying to explain or predict their action? What is the size of the country? What is the climate of the region the country is? What is the topography of the country? And what is the demography of the country? What is natural resources is available in that particular country? And what is the technological advancement in that country? All what I've been explaining so far falls within this space. If you have to explain and predict the actions of country, you are going to explain and predict them within these premises. For instance, I gave you the example of Lesotho. Lesotho's decision will be influenced by South Africa because of the location of Lesotho. Lesotho is located within South Africa. So you see, the geographical location of Lesotho has an influence on its behavior. The reason why South Africa will be in relationship with Zimbabwe, for instance, with Mozambique, for instance, is because of the geographical proximity. They are neighbors. Because they are neighbors, they relate with each other. They tend to try and work with each other. That is what? Geographical location of a state. The size of the country also determines how the country operates. A country, going back again to say a country like Lesotho, the size is small as compared to a country like South Africa, who has a very bigger size, or a country like Zimbabwe. The relationship between a country like Lesotho with Zimbabwe will also be determined by the size of their country. The relationship between China and, say, Rwanda, or say South Africa, is also determined by the size of these countries. The climate of the region also comes to play. Because when we talk about climate, is a place, a desert region, is a place, a floody region, is a place, are they experiencing low rainfall? Or so what is the exact climate of that region? What is the temperature of that area? So that also comes to play when we discuss geopolitics. And then we'll talk about the topography. What is it an high, is it a mountainous place? Is it a low valley? The topography, the nature of the place determine how they also relate within the international system. When we talk about demography, we're talking about the population. For instance, South Africa is about 56, 57 million people. Lesotho is less than that. Nigeria is about 200 million people. China is about 1.3 billion people. So you can imagine a country that is about 1.3 billion to South Africa that is about 53 million. Not even up to 100 million. South Africa is not up to 100 million. And you're talking about China that is about 1.3 billion people. Or you want to talk about India. I think India is about, India is also over a billion. I think 1.2 or 1.6 billion people in India. So when you look at these countries now with billions of people in the country, you realize that their relationship in the world is also determined by their population. because they have what we refer to as human capital. They have human capital. It is possible that just the military number of the personnel in China is possibly more than the population of an entire nation. Not possible, that's the fact. It's more than the population of an entire nation. So you see, that will also determine how they relate within the international system. And then we'll talk about natural resources. The resources that is available in a country also determine how the country relates. In South Africa, we have gold. It determines how we relate. We have other natural resources. In Africa, you have different natural resources that we have. And then technological advancement also is also another point to look at in determining how we relate. How technologically advanced are we? Like I was talking about cyberspace not too long ago. What is the technological advancement in Africa as compared to countries in Europe or compared to countries in North America? What is the technological advancement? That also determines how we relate, because if we are technologically behind, we cannot expect to compete favorably with countries that are technologically advanced. So these are some of the things in which we want to look at. And when you know these things, it tells you how people will behave. And a perfect example, when you look at yourself, for instance, when you have money in your account, there's a way you behave when you have money as compared to when you don't have money. When you don't have money, you become a servant to everybody. Anybody can talk to you anyhow when you don't have money. But once there's money in your account, when somebody talks to you anyhow, you start reminding the person, do you know who I am? Because you start feeling big. Why? Because you have money in your account. So that shows you that you are relating based on what? The resources in which you have. When it comes to your size, if somebody that is smaller than you, maybe way smaller than you, if a child of, say, let's say a child of grade 1 comes to talk to you and the person is insultive, the way you will behave to that person is different from if somebody that is a macho guy comes to you and you know this guy can deal with you based on his body size. It will be different. The way you will relate with a macho guy that insulted you, the way you are going to respond to the insult by a macho guy will be different from the way you will respond to by a child in grade 1. Why? Because of the person's size. So that is how the state also relates. The state relates just the way we also relate, the way we relate with. That's how they too, the state also relates. So you see, and then when it comes to how you also relate when it comes to, I'm trying to admit somebody in now. Within your family, for instance. Please mute your mic. Mute your mic as you come in. Mute your mic as you come in, please. So like I was saying, how you relate within your family, for instance. Your relationship with your family members is different from the kind of relationship you have with people outside your family. That tells you what? Geographical location. Your geographical location determines how you relate. Because you are from this particular place, it determines how you relate. The size of your family also determines how you relate, right? So these are some of the things in which you can look at. And then you understand how states also relate. So like we said, the state will relate based on where they are located within the world. And then relate based on their size, they will relate based on their climate, they will relate based on their topography, they will relate based on their population, which is demography. They will relate based on their resources, and then they will also relate based on what? On their technological advancements. Please, like I said, if I am too fast, please pause me. Ask me to slow down or ask question if there is any question coming up. So let's continue. So basically that is geopolitics that we have defined. Like I said, geopolitics is a fusion of geography and politics. And we said geography is just what? Geography is geography. Geography is our territorial space. Our territorial space. everything that has to do with our nature, with territory and the likes. That is geography. And then we want to understand what politics is. When we discuss politics, we say politics is in politics, it talks about the disagreement of people, it talks about resources and resource allocation. And we said it is exciting. Politics is exciting because in every society in which we find ourselves, there will always be what we refer to as conflicts. There is conflict in every society. In simple terms, we said there is disagreement. We will always have disagreement. Even within our families, we have disagreement. In fact, I go on to say that even within ourselves, you alone, you have disagreement with yourself. Sometimes this morning when you woke up, you possibly were asking yourself, should you wear the clothes you are wearing now, or you should wear another clothes? That is what you are having contemplation within yourself. So there will always be disagreement within the society. And that's where politics comes in. In politics, there's always a disagreement on how we should live, who should get what, how should we get these resources. So basically, that's the argument in politics. There's always going to be a disagreement over different things, disagreement over decisions that are supposed to be made, decisions that are supposed to be made, and a whole lot of stuff. So we disagreed over a whole lot of things. And to that effect, we said there are different definitions to politics. Every one of us should have our own definition when we talk about politics. Politics can be defined in several ways. We'll just pick very few definitions, and then I'll possibly give you a task for you to define politics in your own terms. What do you understand by politics? At the end of this session, I will want you to write something in the comment section of what you understand by politics. What is politics to you? Please type in the comment section what politics is to you. So we say politics can be referred to as an act of government. It's an act of government. It's a skill or talent that is necessary to use to rule a community. It's referred to as politics. The talent that is necessary, the skills necessary to rule a community. It is interpreted as public affairs, right? So basically, that's what politics is. When we define politics, we say politics can be said to be politics is about compromise and consensus. Like I said, have it at the back of your mind that in every society, there will be conflict, there will be disagreement. So politics now has to do with what? Compromises and consensus. It is a way of resolving that disagreement. Politics is a way of resolving conflicts. It relies on persuasion and negotiation rather than violence. But there are times in which violence is necessary. We'll come to discuss that going forward. There are times in which you will need to be violent to get what you want. It is also politics. That's also politics. So we say politics is associated with power and the capacity to influence other people's action, as well as control the available resources. That is what Haywood defined politics as. He said politics is associated with power. I will explain what power is in the course of this lecture. So he says it's associated with power and then influence. According to Harold Laswell, which is a popular definition of politics, he said politics is who gets what, when, and how. So in essence, we'll talk about who gets which particular resources. How do the person get the resources? And then when should the person get that particular resources? For instance, if I ask you, if you have a piece of pie, in the class, how do we share that pie? How do we go about distributing that pie? Or better still, let's use currency. If I give you as a class, 100 rands, if I give you as a class 100 rands, how will you share that 100 rands? I want you to think about it. Think about it. And write in the comment section, how will you share 100 rand as a class? What are the factors that you will put into place to share 100 rand if you are given 100 rand? The way you go about sharing that is referred to as what? As politics. So you see, it comes to play when we ask ourselves, who gets what? So we are going to start asking, how much is everybody supposed to get? When should a person get what he's supposed to get? How should a person also get what he's supposed to get? That is politics. So I rather define politics as what? Who gets what, when, and how. And then David Easton went ahead to define politics as the authoritative allocation of values. Authoritative allocation of values. When we say, okay, this is how we are going to share it, and this is how it's going to be. That is politics. Politics is about resources, power, and it's about the control of resources and power. So if you ask me, that would be my own definition of politics, probably. I would say politics is about power, the control of power and resources within a particular society. Politics about the control of power and resources within a particular society. So we'll talk about power and resources. Resources can be economic resources, it can be human resources, and the likes. It can be natural resources. Everything within every society we find ourselves, within everywhere we find ourselves, even among our family, politics is always going on. So when somebody tells you, no, I don't like politics, you can tell the person, but you are involved in politics. You may not like politics, but you are involved in politics as long as you are still alive. And that takes us to something very important. According to the father of politics, which is referred to as Aristotle, Aristotle said man is a political animal. It means all of us are animals. We know we are animals, but he said we are political animal. We are political in nature. Everything we do is political. Our relationship is political. Everything we do is political. So he said man is a political animal. All our action is influenced by politics. And like I said, all our actions are influenced by who gets what, when, and how. So, and then it's influenced by the authoritative allocation of this particular value. So like I said, please in the comment sections, I will want to read them myself, and I'm going to score you based on that too. Write in the comment section your own definition of politics, and then secondly, answer the question: if you are given 100 rand to divide among yourself in this class, what are the factors you are going to look to share that money? So I'm going to type that. I'm going to write it now. What is your okay? So yeah, I have typed that in the comment section. Please make sure that you comment on that in the course of the week. In the course of the week, you may not necessarily comment now, but please comment in the course of the week, and I will record. I will look at it also and comment. So yeah, so let's continue. So I said politics is all about power and power relation, right? I say politics okay. I said politics is all about power and power relations, as well as the control of resources. This is my definition. So you give yours and put it in the comment section. So now, what is power? When we talk about power, when we say you have power, what do we mean when we say you have power? I'm going to try and just round up on this as soon as I can for the sake of time. We call it a day. So what is power? When we talk about power, you've been hearing power, 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 power. What does that mean? It means a lot of things. It makes different things to different people. In physics, it's a different thing. But when we talk about in the social sciences and humanities, when we talk about human relation, Power is the capacity to influence the action of others. Full stop. Power is what? The capacity to influence the action of others. Power is the capacity to influence behavior and to bring about an intended effect. That is power. The capacity to influence behavior and bring about intended effect is referred to as power. It is the currency that is used within politics. It's the currency of politics. Like we say, politics is all about power and power relations. It's the currency that is used within politics. It is the ability to influence. And the word power is from a Latin word that is called potere, which means to be able to. To be able to. So it's a capacity for one person to influence another person. That is politics. Sorry, that is power. My apologies. That is power. Power is the ability of person A to influence the behavior of person B. So we say power is the ability to influence behavior, right? So when we discuss power, we have different dimensions to power. When we discuss power, we have different dimensions to it. We say we have structural power, we have relational power, and we also have agentile power. So we'll talk about these three types of power. They are in different levels. When we discuss the dynamics of power, it can be seen as agentile. It is agentile, it is relational, and it's also structural. We say power can be agentile, it can be relational or structural. I'll talk about relational power, as the word implies, relationship. It's understand in terms of actions and outcome. Power there is all about relationships and perception, right? Where it involves two persons or two groups. There has to be one person, and there has to be one person influencing the other. So there has to be a person A to a person P. We say that is what B. That is what? Relational power. It has to do with what? Relationships. And then when we talk about structural power is the ability to change the framework within which people act. When you are able to change the framework or the environment in which people act, is referred to as what? Let me give an example this way. Relational power, or better still, let's start with let me explain the three, and then I will come back to give a better explanation to you. Why agentile power is the power that has to do with power over self. This is how it operates. For me, I believe that agentile power is the first form of power over self. You are able to control yourself. You are able to control your own action, right? That is agentile power. Then we have relational power. So now it moves from you as a person, right? It moves from you as a person. Now it involves your relationship with another person. Like I said, agentile power is your relationship with yourself. How you are able to control yourself. Now it moves from your control of yourself to your control of another person. So now we talk about relational power. How are you able to control another person? How are you able to influence the behavior of another person? So it's referred to as what? Agentile power. Now when we come about structural power, we're talking about the environment in which that control will happen. Do you have power to change the environment, to change the rules of engagement within the environment whereby things happen? For instance, you can change the law on how. This is where structural power is. So you have agentile power as one, and then you have relational power encompassing the agentile power, and then you have structural power, the bigger one. So for me, the biggest dimension of power is the structural power, because under the structural power you can change the relational power, and you can also change the agentile power. So that's the dynamics of power. So we say power is the ability to influence behavior, and you can influence your own behavior as self, you can influence the behavior of others, and also you can also influence the entire structure. You can influence the entire society. So that's the dimension of power. Please take note. And then we have what we refer to as the classification of power. Power can be classified into two. We have the power over as well as the power to. Power over focuses on what? Exercise of control through behavior and interaction. It talks about relational power. While the other one, power to, focus on what? Relates on social relation. It is actions and capacity of an actor. So we have the power over somebody. And then we have power to do a particular action. So this is the classification of power. When we talk about power as power understood as capacity or relationship. Power over is what? Relational power. What power to is capacity. Power as capacity. The attribute to be able to do something. When we say you have power to do this, you have power to do this and that. So that is what? Capacity power. Power based on capacity. And then relational power, that's power as a relationship. Ability to influence order. And then we have power as what? A structure. This is what I've just explained. And then we have dimensions of power. We have three different dimensions of power. We have first the decision-making power. Decision-making power is the ability to influence decision, to make and implement decision. I want to be in this class today. It is decision-making power. You decide to be in this class. Capacity to make people to do different things. For instance, you can make people to change their decision. Somebody wants to go to Pinetown, and you tell the person, no, you are not going to Pinetown. You are going to Cape Town. Decision-making power. You have changed the decision of that particular person. The capacity for people to do what they will not necessarily do is referred to as what? Power. And the ability to make people do what they will not necessarily do is referred to as what? The decision-making power. And then when we talk about the agenda-setting power, it is the capacity to set agenda, to limit the range of what can be discussed by decision maker. You can tell people that, okay, yes, you have power to decide on what you want to do under decision-making power, but you cannot do beyond this particular level. So you stay here. You cannot discuss issues around this side. So you can only discuss issues around this side. That is agenda-setting power. You determine what they can do and what they cannot do. It's like putting somebody in a cage or putting an animal in a cage, and you said, hey, maybe whatever animal you have in the cage, and so you can play within the cage, but you cannot go outside the cage. That is agenda setting. You have set an agenda. You say you can play within this space, but you cannot go to this space. So you set an agenda of what that can happen. So it's referred to as what? As agenda setting power. To limit the range of what can be discussed or what can be done is referred to as agenda setting. So the third one is ideological power. In this place, it is the ability to influence how people think. Ideology is from the premise of ideas, the word of ideas. To be able to influence how people think is to influence how people feel is referred to as what? Ideological power. Like I said structural power when it comes to the dynamics of power is the highest, right? When it comes to the dimension of power, ideological power is also the strongest, because in this space, you will not only determine the agenda, you will determine the decision. So you see, the first one is what? Decision-making power. Second is agenda-setting power. And then the third is what? Ideological power. Ideological power is the strongest of all those power. Because when you determine how people think, you can determine what they think about. And then you can determine the decision in which they are going to make based on what they think about. Because you can only make decisions based on what you know. So if I want you, and that's what you see most of these, most governments, that's what they use. They use the media power. Media influence how you think. Media influence how you think. If I ask you, for instance, now, if an American soldier, between an American soldier and a South African soldier, who do you think is more powerful? Think about it. I know what your answer will be. Your answer will be that an American soldier is more powerful. They will tell you when you go to watch movies, they will show you one American soldier that kills an entire city. It will wipe, that particular soldier will wipe out an entire city. When you watch movies like James Bond and all those American war movies, and then you see one soldier or two soldiers will clear up an entire city. What has happened there is that they are gradually indoctrinating you to start feeling that Americans are stronger by nature. Or when you start seeing that you are inferior, or better still, when you start seeing your skin. I know you guys are familiar with the recent protests on the clicks advertisement that became a serious issue not too long ago, whereby they talked about hair, and they were putting an image that the hair of a white person, the hair is better than the hair of a black person. You see, it is an agenda. It's an ideological power they are trying to play there. Over time, we start to see that when you are put within that space and you are constantly told that kind of narrative, over time you start believing that of a truth, the hair of a black woman is inferior to the hair of a white woman. Why do you believe so? Because you have been told over time. It is ideological power that has been used on you. Your mindset, the way you think, has been changed for you to believe that the hair of a white woman is better than the hair of a black woman. It is an ideological power. So you see, that way, it determines how you act. It determines what you do. It will determine your decision. It will determine your agenda. And it goes to play in everything we do. When they make us feel that one person is superior than the other, it is ideological. It is what they use, what is put as the indoctrination technique. They indoctrinate you into a particular thing. For instance, they start telling you that this thing is what it should be, and then over time you believe it. For instance, there's a saying that says, when lies are told over time, they become the truth. When lies are told over time, they become the truth. Why? Because we have been indoctrinated over time to believe in it. So when something that is white is presented as black, over time you start believing that is black, because you have been indoctrinated within this space. So basically, these are the idea of power. That way you are being influenced. So we have ideological power, we have agenda setting power, as well as the decision-making power. So when it comes to types of power, you see, we've discussed the dynamics of power. We'll say we have agenda, relational, as well as structural. We've discussed the dimensions of power. We say we have decision-making power, we have agenda setting power, and we have the ideological power. Now we are discussing the types of power. When it comes to types of power, we have economic power. Economic power has to do with resources. Like I was saying before now, if you have money in your pocket or in your accounts, it determines how you behave, right? So economic power has to do with the measurements of the resources in which you have economic advantage over people. All right. If you have money, you can influence. They say money rules the world. Money rules the world. When you have money, there is a whole lot of things you can do. That is power based on the money in which you have. And then we have social power. Social power is informal. It's an informal community power. Maybe, for instance, in Africa, we are taught to respect our elders. So when you see somebody that is older than you, you naturally respect that person. The kind of power in which that person exhibits over you is referred to as social power. For instance, somebody that is older than you can ask you to do a particular thing and you will do it. The person can influence your behavior and you do it because of that social capital, social power, right? Your parents can tell you to do something and you do it because of the position they occupy. Your elder siblings can tell you to do something and you do them because of the position they occupy. That is social power. And then we have the political power, like the powers in which, let's say, our president, our mayors, our ministers and commissioners are enjoying, are referred to as what? As political power. It is given by the legal structure, by the constitution of the land. So you see, social power and economical power may not be based on constitution. Economic power is based on the money you have, the resources you have. Social power is cultural terms. Political power is bestowed by the constitution. And then we have what we refer to as what? Military power, based on your military strength. You can coerce people based on your military strength. For instance, the United States is acclaimed the most powerful country in the world because of their military strength. They have economic strength, but they also have military capacity. And then we have ideological power. I just explained the premise of ideological power. If you have the power to influence how people think, then you will have changed a whole lot of things about them. It's better as ideological power. Powers over ideas and beliefs. You have all these issues around communism, fascism, and all those things. Ideologies. And then we have the distributional power. That's power over others. The ability to of an individual to get others to pursue certain goals. It is referred to as distributional power. We have also what we refer to as charismatic power. It's not here on the slide, but it just occurred to me now. We have charismatic power. We have traditional power. All these are different forms of power. Sorry, there are different types of power. So when it comes to forms of power, we have three forms of power. We have the hard power, the soft power, and the smart power. Please take note. We've discussed the dimensions of power. We discussed the dynamics of power. We discussed the types of power. And now we are discussing the forms of power. That's 4. Please make sure you know the difference so that you don't mix them up. They are tricky and it's easy for you to mix them up. Please make sure you know this concept. So talk about hard power. Hard power is the use of force. The use of force to influence behavior is referred to as hard power. The use of economic or political or military strength is referred to as hard power. In simple terms, it is the use of force. The ability to coerce somebody into a particular action is referred to as what? Hard power, as the word implies, hard. And then we have soft power. Soft power is the use of persuasion. When you persuade people into doing a particular thing, you co-opt them into doing a particular thing, is referred to as what? Soft power. It is the opposite of what? Of hard power. Hard power is the use of coercion to influence behavior. Soft power is what? The use of persuasion to influence behavior. While smart power is the combination of both hard and soft power. When you use both coercion and persuasion to influence behavior, is referred to as what? Smart power. So with hard power, I give you 50 rands and I say, do these things, I'm going to give you 50 rands. Or I say, do these things based on a mancho, hard power. Soft power, I will say, please do this thing. You know you can do it. I beg you to do it, right? I appeal to your conscience. I say, you know you need to do this thing. It's good for you to do this thing. Smart. But, sorry, soft power. Smart power will not be, I say, you know you can do this thing. Please do it. If you do it, I'm going to give you 50 rands. You see, I have mixed both smart power and soft power. I've mixed both soft power and hard power. So that's what we refer to as what? Smart power. It's a combination of the two. Hard power, the use of coercion, the use of force. Smart power, the use of persuasion. Smart power, the combination of both. So that is that when we discuss power. And because we are discussing geopolitics, in geopolitics, like we said, it's a fusion of these powers that we have discussed within the international arena. So there is a distribution of power within the international arena. There's a different way over time in history how states have related. You know, when I define geopolitics just now, I gave one definition to say that geopolitics is an hierarchy, an arrangement on how states are positioned within the international system. Who stays at the top? Who is at the top? Who stays at the top? And how do people get to the top? If you remember, that was we gave one definition like that. In that definition of who stays at the top, who is in the top, And how do people get to the top? We're talking about power. So who is the most powerful? Who becomes the most powerful? And then how do you become the most powerful? When you start thinking towards this line, then we'll be talking about distribution of power. We'll be talking about what is referred to as polarity. Polarity. Polarity is, in simple terms or in simple definition, the arrangements of power dynamics within the international system. The arrangement of power dynamics within the international system. And when we discuss polarity, there are three types that we tend to discuss. We'll talk about the unipolar system, the bipolar system, and the multipolar system. The unipolar, bipolar, and the multipolar system. When we talk about the unipolar system, we're talking about a situation whereby there's only one country that is the most powerful country in the world. So when you have one country as the most powerful country in the world, then it is referred to as what? A unipolar system. It's a unipolar order. That one country that is most powerful is referred to as the hegemon. The hegemon is the most powerful country in the world. So we used to have the United States as the most powerful country in the world. I will come to explain the history of the polar system. And then we have what we refer to as the bipolar system. Bi means what? Two. Bi is two. So we talk about bipolar system. We're talking about a system whereby two countries are the most powerful countries in the world. That is what? The bipolar system. And then we also have the multipolar system. Multipolar system is when you have more countries, three or more countries as powerful countries in the world. They are almost equal in power. It's better as the multipolar system. So basically that is that one is called the polarity system. And within the world, there used to be the time in history where we had the multipolar system. There was a lot of countries that were popular. We have Austria, Russia, US, Britain, France. They were the powerful countries in the world. And then we moved from that, and then we had the bipolar system after the First and Second World War. We had a bipolar system where we have USSR and the United States as the most powerful country in the world. That was a bipolar system. We have the USA and USA and the USSR as the most powerful country in the world. And then we move from there to the multipolar system, where we have more than one countries as most powerful country in the world. Another question I want you to write in the comments box is, if USA is the United States, what is USSR? What is USSR? I need you to write that in the comments box. What is USSR? It used to be one of the most. It used to be one of the two most powerful countries in the world, and it's disintegrated. It broke up in 1989. The last leader of the USSR was Gorbachev. It broke up in 1989, and it disintegrated into different countries, where you have Russia and all the Yugoslavia, Ukraine, and the likes. But what is USSR? I need somebody to give me that in the comment box. So yes, that's the distribution of power in the world. Like I said, you have the unipolar system, the bipolar system, and the multipolar system. Unipolar system has to do with a situation whereby we have one powerful country in the world. Bipolar, two powerful. Multipolar, more than three. And then when it comes to world order, these are shifted over time. And that is what I am discussing when I said we used to have this statement I just made. The arrangement of world power has always shifts within the international system. It keeps shifting, it keeps changing, and it's based on military and economic strength. It keeps changing over time. It keeps changing. Okay, thank you, Peters. That is very correct. Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. That is USSR. You've got yourself a half point. I'm going to be adding that to your score at the end of the lecture. So, like I said, world power has always been changing. Going back to the definition of geopolitics that we just gave ourselves, we said it is an arrangement to determine who is at the top, who stays at the top, and how to get to the top. So because of that, there's always been a shift in that arrangement of global order. So there's been and presently now there's a decline in the use of hard power, the use of force in the international system. There's been a change in the use of force. There's gradually the bringing in of the use of persuasion. Before now, if a country wants to do something, they force the other one to do them. That's why you see they go on wars. There was a whole lot of war prior to 1945, prior to the end of the Second World War. There were different kind of wars that happened. But now you see the world is moving gradually into persuasion than the use of what? Hard power. The use of soft power is the one that stays more now within the international system. So in concluding, we want to ask this question. With the advancement of globalization, the increased influence of non-state actors and growth of international organizations, will a multipolar world order bring peace and cooperation and integration, or will it lead towards conflict and heightened instability? I want you to think about this question. Go and think about it. I think that what the question is asking is that if we move for a situation whereby we have too many countries that are powerful in the world, will it lead to peace or will it lead to conflict? Think about it. I want you to think about it, and then we are going to submit next week. Think about it. In a situation whereby we have more than one country that is popular, that is most powerful, that are powerful. If you have more than one country or more than 3 countries that are powerful in the world, will it lead to peace or will it lead to conflict? And then what is authority and how do you relate that to power? I want you to think about this. Next week, we'll be picking it up on these points. So let me open the floor for question. If you have question, you can ask at this point. Any question? Any question? Can you guys hear me? Or have I been talking to myself?
Yes,
No, man.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you very much for confirming that I've not been talking to myself. Okay, any question or any contribution? If you have anything you want to say, question, contributions, you can ask anything.
I wanted to ask, if we explain everything in public,
You said?
are you going to send this PDF shows here? What to say? Electric count.
Am I going to send a
Can you
slide?
please send it?
Do you
Yes.
mean am I going to send a slide to the page?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to post the slide on Moodle, and I'm also going to post the slide here on Teams. So you can access the slide on Moodle or on Teams. This video also is going to be on Moodle. Sorry, it's going to be on Moodle and on Teams. So you can also access the video also on Moodle and on Teams. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be on Moodle and on Teams too. Any other question? Okay. If there are no questions, please, I expect you comment. I see some people are already commenting on the comment section as relating to the questions I asked. Please make sure you comment on the comment section because I'm going to read them, and this will also count for your attendance mark. It will count for your attendance mark, please. You will need this, and in situation in which you do not expect. So if that is it and there are no questions, we are going to meet next week. Yeah. Please go ahead.
I don't know if it's because I'm using a phone, but I cannot see any questions you pop. I cannot see any comment section here.
Okay, if you are using a phone, look at the top of your phone. There's something that looks like either at the top or at the below, at the downside of your phone. There's going to be an icon that looks like an SMS icon. That is what you need to click. You're going to see something like an SMS icon. Click on the SMS icon and then you answer the questions in which I have asked. And the question again, I'm going to just, as I said, the question again is this. Type in the comment section what your definition of politics is. What is your definition of politics? And then secondly, I asked that if we are given 100 rands to divide in our class, what are the factors to consider in dividing that, in the division of that money? What are the factors to consider in the division of that money? So please just type in the comment sections and let's pick it up from there. Is that okay? Okay, that being said, if there are no other questions, the class is officially over for today. We'll meet next week, same time, same station, 2 p.m. Mondays. Thank you very much. I'll see you when I see you. You can reach out to me anytime if you have any question or you have need for my assistance, and I'll be happy to help. So take care. Have a nice week ahead of you. Bye.